Now a lot of people, me included, have made videos on the origin of the Koopalings and Bowser Jr. Nintendo never really explains where they come from after all, and personally, I think I've made some interesting videos about the topic. But there's another group of henchmen I need to cover, the Broodals, who became famous after their debut in Super Mario Odyssey. And while I did make a video on their origins 4 years ago, I want to improve on it. Well, aside from better editing and voiceover. So let's find out what the Broodals are and where they actually come from. Now let's dive right in. Hey, psst! Be sure to check out wily.gg if you're in the market for any games, and use code WILY to get 5% off. Now let's continue with the video. Now, in my old video from 4 years ago, I came to the conclusion that they must be related to the star bunnies seen in the Galaxy games. These are often found in outer space, and some of them are actually Lumas that have transformed into these bunnies. And these star bunnies appear throughout the galaxies, and they most often need to be caught in a game of hide and seek. Now, in my original video, I claimed that the Broodals are actually these star bunnies, but more advanced and bigger. But this wasn't all. I even claimed that they could be evil and corrupt Lumas that turned into these bunny beasts. However, in the video, I don't really have any concrete proof for these claims, because, I mean, why would Lumas or these star bunnies turn evil? Well, who knows? To be honest, I still don't have an answer for this, but I do think it's an interesting take. However, after looking through all the information once again, I did stumble on another possible origin for the Broodals. Ones that are a lot darker and are even supported to an extent by info found in Super Mario Odyssey, as well as other titles in the franchise. So let's dive in these new theories, because believe me, these new ones are, in my opinion, better than my original. Now we will start off by looking at the brochure that is seen in the game, because it contains a lot of useful information. Now these brochures contain a lot of info about every kingdom that is seen in Super Mario Odyssey. The game is all about travel after all, and so for once, Nintendo actually decided to create a lot of background information for the places you visit. And here I found some interesting things that could point towards the potential origin of these demonic rabbits. Now, I started my research on the dark side of the moon, the place where the Broodals and their leader can be found after defeating Bowser and saving Peach. This is a secret kingdom, and here you can find a location known as Rabbit Ridge, which is the home of the Broodals and is ruled over by Madame Brood. Now, due to her love for vegetables, many statues of vegetables can be found scattered around the kingdom, primarily turnips. And the largest one is a carrot statue known as the Rabbit Ridge Tower, which seems to be the Broodals' headquarters. Now, outside of this tower, many generic rabbits wearing top hats can be found, who don't really do anything. Now, when it comes to this place, I couldn't find a whole lot. It just seems to be the home of a lot of rabbits, both normal and really big ones. But as soon as we move over to the darker side of the moon, the brochure is filled with tons of interesting information that most of us don't know about at all. For example, there's a massive crater on this side of the moon, and while most don't even think about it for a second, it was actually incredibly important for the history of the moon. It mentions that this giant crater was formed by a huge meteor collision long ago, and this affected the life on this planet, because the impact destroyed the civilization that flourished on the moon, which is how this crater came to be. So apparently there used to be an advanced civilization on the moon. Well, until they got owned, like the dinosaurs. Heck, there are even some structures left over, like this tower which the brochure also has extra information on. It says, if you look closely, it seems to resemble the City Hall of New Donk City. Some think it's based on New Donk City Hall, and according to researchers, it might be one of the remnants of the civilization that once flourished on the moon. But with little evidence, this theory lacks credibility. Now personally, I do think this tower was from the old civilization. I mean, why else would it be here? And personally, I think the Broodals are actually connected to what happened on the darker side of the moon, or at least benefited from it in a certain way. Now let's start with the first option I came up with. The Broodals actually caused the meteor to crash, but it might have been an accident instead of on purpose. this. It could be that all these rabbits and the Broodals seen on the dark side of the moon ended up on the moon because they came out of the comet. One thing is clear, Nintendo didn't give a whole lot of info on the incident, but it did wipe out all life on the moon. I mean, otherwise there would be survivors, right? Some leftovers aside from that one tower, right? Well, this didn't happen, but it seems like the Broodals were able to set up shop together with their buddies, and so I think the Broodals were actually inside of this meteor, like some sort of weird alien invasion that is seen in some mediocre sci-fi movies. The blast took out the civilization that lived there, and from its ashes arose the Broodals and their rabbit companions, who ended up using some of the leftover architecture and stuff to start their wedding planning business. I know it sounds weird, but it would be a fun origin story that Nintendo could confirm one day. And heck, maybe it wasn't a comet and people from Earth just assumed this. It could be that it was actually some sort of spaceship. If that is the case, then what the Broodals did was most likely on purpose. However, this isn't the only option, because I have another interesting take. There were always rabbits on the moon, and they were the only ones that survived the blast as they were on a different part of the moon. I mean, the dark side seems to be fine, while the darker side was almost completely destroyed due to it. And in time, due to magic, technology, and more, they evolved into the Broodals. They used to be normal rabbits, but due to the powers left behind by the civilization that lived on the darker side, they became bigger, better, and smarter. I mean, in one of my other videos, I also discussed a similar process with Rosalina, who started off as a normal girl and most likely turned into a space goddess due to consuming star bits. But it could also be that it all started with Madame Brood. She's clearly quite different from the others, and it could be that she used the power moons found inside of the moon to evolve a couple of rabbits so she could use them as henchmen, combining both science and magic to create these beings. Heck, it could even be that all of them, even Madame Brood, evolved due to the massive amount of power moons found inside of the moon. They started off as normal rabbits, but in time they became more advanced, and so the rabbit civilization was born on the dark side of the moon. Now, sadly enough, there's no direct proof that any of this happened, which is rarely the case in Super Mario titles, as Nintendo doesn't explain a whole lot. But after making the Luma video, I was convinced this was an option for the origins of the Broodals. And be sure to check that video out as well. It's a good one. And don't forget, be sure to let me know what you think in the comment section down below, because I do respond to comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Click subscribe, bell button, do all the good stuff. My throat is still a bit weird, everybody. I don't know why. I'm not sick anymore. I'm just a bit, like... I have a bit of a cold, and it still affects my throat and my nose a little bit. I can feel that my voiceover skills aren't back to what they used to be. Like, I struggle more with getting through lines and everything. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, click the bell button, do all the good stuff. Check out the other video. I hope you liked it. If you want me to do more videos like this where I cover old theories in new ways, let me know. And I might do more if I can find good ones. Yay. And if I'm not too distracted by Tears of the Kingdom. Did you see the trailer, my lord? Anyway, bye. Kisses.